Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with Director of Operations and Productions for the City of Atlanta, Dilla Hunter, discussing her early days at Hitco Publishing, developing the film community in Atlanta, and creating the IdOFILM Atlanta platform. You're now listening to the IdOMUSIC podcast. I'm your host, Sammy, and I'm sitting down with Dilla Hunter. I was trying not to mess it up, but we're going to call you Dilla today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. I know you're busy doing all the things that we have going on in the city right now with the film and entertainment.
Correct.
Yes. So let's just get started with the one thing I know and probably how you became friends with Curtis and a lot of people in the music industry is that you actually started at Hitco.
Yes.
Publishing.
I did.
Yes.
Back in 97, I started at Hitco Music Publishing just as an assistant to LaRonda Sutton and Shakir Stewart. Mm-hmm. And then I quickly evolved into the role of copyright management, so overseeing the publishing for the producers and the artists that we had on our roster.
So what was the goal back then? How did you get into that? Why publishing?
Well, you know what? It was a fate job. It was a job that somebody said, hey, I'm looking for two things. Somebody who is pretty knowledgeable of the music industry, as well as who could, articulate documents and stuff. Well, I knew nothing about the music industry, and I had just been in Atlanta maybe for like 2 years, mm-hmm. but I sold myself on my PowerPoint resume. Oh, and really? I sent it over maybe about 10 that morning, and about 12 noon, the job was offered to me. So it was definitely a new experience and definitely meant to be. Where are you from? Well, Gardena, California. Oh. I can't say L.A. I'm going to put Gardena on the map.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yes. And what made you move out to Atlanta?
So I graduated from Grambling State University, and I went home for about a year, and I had been so used to being down south. I was a single mom. My daughter was probably 3, I think, when I graduated from college, and so I just wanted to give her a better opportunity. And so I had some friends here. I just called them and said, I'm coming. They didn't believe me. Then my boxes started showing up, and then they was like, oh, shoot, she's coming. So that's how I ended in Atlanta.
Wow. Now, tell me, first off, tell me what music publishing is. Like, why music publishing? Like, what is so important? We just spoke with a producer about K-Fam, about production and just knowing and being educated about your publishing. Right. Especially during that time. So why was your job super important?
So my job was super important, and I'm going to shout out to K-Fam because he was one of my producers. And I really didn't know the aspects of artists versus producing. And then I learned quickly that publishing is where the money is.
Right.
And so it was just, I think the importance of it helps the artist or the producers, writers to copyright their music, allow them to get exposure once they come into a publishing deal. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think being able to copyright their works and then allowing whether you're ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC to help you, A, collect on your royalties, and then B, it gives the other entities out there like I was at Hitco, so I'm going to say Warner Chappell or Universal Publishing or whatever to collaborate with the different producers.
So you're like a smaller...
Yeah, so we were a parent company of Windswept, which was out of Los Angeles, which was really owned by a gentleman by the name of Ichi out of, I want to say he was out of Japan. Oh. Yeah, China or Japan, yeah. And so he saw this vision and partnered up with Windswept out of L.A. And then Hitco Music Publishing is, because they're back now, L.A. Reid's music publishing company. Gotcha. And so he just did a joint venture with Windswept. So even though we were a small boutique, we were pretty big with Windswept.
Gotcha. What was it like working at Hitco?
Oh, my gosh.
Was it a lot of fun?
A lot of fun. Some of the best memories in my life. Definitely glad that I had the opportunity to work there. I met a lot of people. I dealt with people that I wouldn't even imagine of dealing with, from Beanie Siegel to Puffy to Organized Noise. Because when they came in, songs, whatever, they were sampled. And I would have to go get the sample clearances. So it was.
So you were handling all of the behind the scenes
the logistics of it. And that's the way I met Curtis as well with Patchwerk. Yes.
So let me ask you, what was it like during that time? Like a LaFace you had?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So this was just the music industry made
up. Yeah. What was the music industry like?
Oh my gosh. So it was like our Atlanta Motown, because we did have LaFace and we had So Def. We did have Organized Noise. Dallas Austin Studio is here. And it was amazing. Music was booming then. The money was great.
Yeah.
And just to have all those entities in one place in Atlanta, you name it, they came here. The life was excellent.
Yes. Certainly. So after leaving Hitco, what was the next venture for you?
So right after I left Hitco, I still stayed in the music arena for a minute. I went to work with Enlight Entertainment, that's owned by Tasha Stafford and Stone Stafford. And Enlight Entertainment was a management company. So we managed Shakespeare, who's responsible for Bills, TLC, No Scrubs. Anthony Dent, who was responsible for Survivor with Destiny Child. Who else? Sean Hall, who did brought Three Little Women, 3LW out. You see, you got me going way back.
No, those are my records.
But so I went into the management arena, which was totally different, but it was also a great experience. I think that prepared me for where I am today.
Did you enjoy management? Because, when you think about management, you think of, glorified babysitting. You think of, all those things that were you day to day. What was your role?
So my day-to-day role was to, I think Anthony Dent was one of my main projects that I dealt with. And I dealt with his day-to-day from personal to business, studio time, travel, flowers for the wife, anything you can name that they would have you to do. But it was a great experience because not only did we have that business work, we also had a personal work relationship, which made it even great. They're different because they're very artistic. So, a car note being paid, and, late, whatever,
Right.
So it was me having to kind of learn them and then just try to keep them guided in the right direction.
Definitely. I would ask, I'm not sure, I guess, today you see a lot of women as managers or, any part of the music industry you might find a woman.
Yes.
It's still a very male-dominated industry, but during that time, I'm sure it was a lot different. You were probably one of the only women in the room, maybe?
Well, it was definitely male-dominant then. You would count a few of us in the room. But I could say that the ones that were, the females that were in this genre had some pretty good titles. So it was kind of good to see you yourself look like you sitting up in, high positions. Rhonda
Bossed
Sutton,
up.
she was our, she was the GM, for us. And so, that was good. And then she introduced me to the likes of maybe Catherine Bruton from BMI and just different.
So it was. Did you ever feel, I guess, uncomfortable, or you felt like I belonged?
I never felt uncomfortable. I always felt like I belong because I'm a people person. And one thing about me, I was in this arena, but that was just for work. On the outside, when I left, I did my own thing. So
Gotcha.
It never went to my head or anything like that. I was just like, this is a job. This is cool. I appreciate it. But my lifestyle on the outside was just totally different.
Gotcha. So, how have you witnessed the entertainment business, I guess, transcend or evolve over the years? Speak to the technological advances with social media, streaming, branding yourself, and all those things. Have you witnessed it change?
Yeah, it has been a total big change. When I was in the industry, people used to hand us their DATs. And that's the way, on there we used to be like, you have to give us your top 3, songs, your DAT. So just to see how it's evolved from handing a DAT to someone to actually saying, hey, what's your email address? Let me just send you my,
over.
So that was a big difference. And even now, it's the branding, the companies used to do the branding, but a lot of our artists and producers and, writers, they're branding their own self, which I think is great. I can't even imagine what a social media platform would have looked like back then. We really would have been wilding out. So it's good that it came into intuition when it came. But, and even now, it's like none of the deals aren't as big as they used to be.
Right.
You have people like, J and B, releasing theirs on Tidal.
Right.
And so for me, I don't have that subscription. So it's like, I'm old school. I like a CD.
Right.
I like a CD for two reasons: to add to my collection, and I like to read the credits.
Right.
So for us on this side, I still like this side, and I'm sure millennials, you guys, enjoy the music the way you do. Like, I just really came into Spotify.
True. I mean, yeah, and it's convenient. You know what I mean? Like, now the car and the systems and everything is all Bluetooth. So essentially, like, I don't have a CD player in my car.
Wow.
So it's like or my computer. So I can't use my CDs. But which is interesting, even when it comes to artists branding themselves to, like, do you pass out CDs? Do you pass out business cards? Is it worth it? Is it worth that money? Whereas I'm sure while you were working at Hitco, a lot of those artists were
passing out CDs and everything. And so, old school is the CDs. You hear a lot of, artists that are now, they started in the back of their trunk. Luda, he started in the back of his trunk of selling his CDs and passing them out, and now look at him now.
Right.
But for me, a CD is always still great.
It's always
because I have a CD player in my car.
That's what's up. So, okay, as working in publishing and to working for the city now, or to working for like a boutique company to working for the city of Atlanta. Talk about your transition. I know you didn't go from there to there, but what did you learn during the time in publishing that can be applied here and management?
Well, publishing and production, they go hand in hand.
That's true.
So publishing, and you have to get out and do the work. I was the last stop to get it, to make sure it was sent out to be copywritten. Production now for filming, I'm the entity that they have to go to at the end of the day to be able to get their shots. Closing down streets or sidewalks or helping with locations. My experience then just rolled over to where I'm now with the professionalism. I'm a people person, hard work. I respect it. I respect it. I'm behind the scenes, and on this end for permitting, the same way I was on the scenes behind for publishing and copywriting. And I admire the ones who are out front doing it. Because I think my job is hard, but their job is really hard.
Yeah.
So I think the transition was just me knowing how to, just stay professional. And, I'm one of them, yes, I never believe in a no, and I'm always going to get that no to a yes.
Right, right. Finding a solution.
Correct.
That's what's up. So talk about, I guess, give me, because I might have screwed that up earlier. No. Give me your exact role and like what it is that you're responsible for within the city of Atlanta.
So I have a new title. I'm the Director of Operations and Productions for the City of Atlanta Film and Entertainment Office. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the film office, behind the scenes, meaning new employee hire, things of that sort. And then when you put me on the production side, our office is the one-stop shop. And so I'm the one that's the facilitator to help those productions maneuver around in the city of Atlanta. So I can go on I can have production meetings. I can go on scouts, screenings. Our office is where when our production wants, to get to police and fire and, neighborhoods and all that, that's that one-stop shop. And we probably have over, within the city, maybe about 25, 30 in-house stakeholders. But like if you take, I'm going to say Zone 5, which is your downtown Atlanta, Midtown, just when I'm interacting, I can interact with around 75 people.
Oh, wow.
Because that means that I'm touching the communities as well as the small businesses and any other entity that would make that production happen.
Definitely. I mean, film and entertainment obviously have grown tremendously over the last few years here in Atlanta.
Yes.
You see filming, or like even where I work, we can't park in our lot after a certain time or during certain days because there's filming going on. Correct. You hear that all the time, right?
Yes.
So I guess, I want you to talk about what's happening with the production side of like TV and film here in Atlanta. In 2016, I saw that you spoke on the budding industry and how we were close to New York and a leading city for movies.
Correct.
What's changed since then, if anything? Or I know it's a lot that's changed.
Well, you know, the incentive really brings your productions here that the state of Georgia offers. And so that incentive can go to 30%, 20% is, you know, $500,000 or more you spend on that. And then the other 10% is like if you go to the movies and at the end of the credits, you might see our Georgia Peach.
Right,
That gives them an extra 10% on that.
So often
Which you
now.
see so often, and why not take advantage of it?
Definitely.
When I first came in, we were climbing the ladder to compete with L.A. and New York. And now I think we are stated as the number one place for location filming.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people come here from all over to film on productions or whatever. And what I've noticed is once they got here, they like it. We're very diverse. We have good weather, great, you know, outdoor events and stuff. And so they usually buy property, which helps out in the neighborhoods. That's putting taxes back into, you know, our community.
Like what Shannon Mall was, and
So Shannon Mall, which was I used to live out there, and so I saw when the mall closed and everything, and now we have Atlanta Metro Studios, which is you know home of Legacy 24 and some other productions there, and we have so many soundstage studios now from when we first came in 2013 till. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I think we're going to just continue to grow. We just won the Location Managers Guild International Award.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
And so I didn't realize how big it was. And then somebody was like, well, you know, International's on the end of that title.
Right.
So I was like, yeah. And we actually did it for Baby Driver, which was filmed in Atlanta for Atlanta. And that required us to shut down, you know, interstates and everything. So once people saw, okay, this is what you can do.
Right, it's possible.
They're coming.
Definitely. Yeah. So the process of giving out permits for big budget city-wide movies and shows like you said, Baby Driver, Marvel's Black Panther, The Walking Dead, and etc. Talk to us about that process. What is it like? I mean, obviously with big budget films, they already know, they have the knowledge on how to get that done.
Correct.
And who they need to speak with and things like that, even the resources and the relationship.
Right.
But for somebody who, you know, is trying to develop in the film industry that may not know, what is that process like?
Yeah. So, you know, regardless of a small budget or a big budget for a production, you have to come through the city of Atlanta if you're going to film in the city of Atlanta. And some are, you know, your bigger blockbusters, you know, they start early. I'll just take Avengers. They were just here, but before they started filming, I think they were courting me for a good 6 to 9 months in advance because of the locations that they need. So usually when you have rather a big budget company or independent, I think we are the first stop because they want to know how they can film in Atlanta. So we're there to help assist with locations. We're there to assist with, you know, if you need different, you know, APD or vendors or something to help on it. They're coming to our office to say, hey, we're here, we want to film, what do we need to do? Right. So the permitting process is about threefold because that's the first conversation. The second conversation is just understanding what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And then with that, that's how we can kind of maneuver them around in the city, whether, you know, if you want to film inside a City of Atlanta building or, you know, what your insurance needs to look like in order to film in the city.
Right.
If you want to go into parks, there's, you know, if it's the regular park or it's the belt line, there's just so many different entities that you have to go through. And then once, you know, we narrow down when they kind of lock down everything that they need to do as far as on their locations, because by the time they get to us, they're really ready to film.
Right.
They can set the production meetings in the beginning. They go out and do their work. When if they ever need facilitating with filming at our detention center or a court or something like that, or if they need us to come out and be their liaison to the neighborhoods that they want to film in, you know, that's the first stop. Gotcha. And then they would come in and they would submit all their paperwork. And then we have a few people that it has to go out to get that approval.
Right. So what's that? How long does this?
So usually if you take, if you want like a lane closure, or a sidewalk, then we ask for 3 full business days. If you want a full street closure, the minimum is 5 full business days. But when you're dealing with, big productions, a lot of them, they might be out 30 days in advance. Gotcha. I can say Avengers, they were in one area for 52 days.
Oh, wow.
And so that took a lot of prepping, and that took that 6 to 9 months. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on your scale of what it is that you want to do.
So how often are, I feel like this is like a around-the-clock job for you.
It is.
You're talking to, like you said, over 75 people in, a day's time. So, like, how are you saying yes or turning no's to yeses for multiple, people and productions and entities?
Right. I'm just a yes person. And so, I never take no for an answer. And so I know that the productions are going to push me. Certain neighborhoods they want to be in. I get it. Production, like, we got to have this, and the community is like, no. And so I think once you put the community and the productions together and allow the productions to hear the community concerns, and when the productions adhere to their concerns, I think it makes it easier for you to film and get the shot that you need. But
I can imagine the community's concerns are a little...
Yeah, loud music, generators loud, lights in my windows.
Right.
I mean, you name it, we get it. They couldn't pick up my trash today. You name it, we get it. But because we are so hands-on and we just don't say, we're filming anyway, I'm one of them that, I take that approach of calling to speak to, that HOA. It's my goal to have every neighborhood in the city of Atlanta to have a film liaison. It makes it so much easier because they're your one-stop shop.
Right.
But just being able to hear them, address the production, have the production reach out to them, and then we always come up with a follow-up. Mm-hmm. And, after being there for almost 5 years, I think community engagement is very much needed in today's time. And so we had a town hall a couple of weeks ago where we had over 150 people to come out, and it wasn't just our production, but it was the community as well. And so when the community sees that you are engaged with them and have their best interests, it's more easier for our productions to come in and film. But it has to start with our office, since we are the ones that's issuing the permit. Definitely. And then, some areas get hit harder than others. And so, it's up to us to the discernment of saying, what, well, I'll take Castleberry Hill, on right by the new Mercedes-Benz. They get filming a lot. After a while, we just put a moratorium and just let them kind of breathe and kind of enjoy. And, we never did a moratorium where they haven't called back and said, okay, you can lift it now. We're ready. But we understand that it is an impact, mm-hmm. and we're not L.A. and we're not New York, who's been used to it. And so because we just...
I'm trying to condition.
Yes. And this filming here just scaled up quickly till, we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, just trying to work out the kinks right now.
Definitely. I mean, I think the town hall is a great start. And yes. I heard a lot of great things about that and how you want it to affect the film community in Atlanta. But I wanted to ask you, since we are at Patchwerk and, working... we work with a lot of up-and-coming artists and, a lot of the great artists that have come through these doors. Tell me about your experience working with Atlanta rappers like T.I., Migos, Gucci for music videos, and they need permits on.
How did you know?
I got my little birdies that they be telling me a few things.
Yes.
What's the difference between that process and working with artists, mm-hmm. which we know can be challenging, mm-hmm. versus movies, which is also challenging because, like you said, you're dealing with... Yeah. a number of other things with these big budget films.
Yeah, so working with a film production, they pretty much know what they want and they're going to get out in advance. Mm-hmm. Working with my local artists, it's Monday and they're calling me because they want to film tomorrow evening. Mm-hmm. And it's dealing with, for them, it's like, I have to say, okay, who's actually paying for this? Is it the independent director paying for it, or if it's the record label paying for it? When it's the record label paying for it, then it gives me a little bit more leeway to kind of make sure that everything is going to go according to plan. If it's my directors that are out there paying for it, then they're trying to impress their artists. They're trying to make sure they can deliver, which can be a challenge.
Right.
I've had the privilege to permit for Amigos, T.I., Gucci, you name it, Future. And so my whole thing is, when they go out and they want to do a video, they bring the whole entourage with them.
Of course.
And we can't really control that whole entourage. So unfortunately, we have a film liaison between that's appointed by APD. Mm-hmm. So I usually have to kind of keep them out there on set with them just to make sure, because they're artists and they're creative and they're not thinking that we're filming at this house, but we all on the neighbor's grass. And, they're not thinking that that's really a big deal. In hindsight, it really is, because you want them to bear the respect so that if a film comes behind you or another artist comes behind, that
they can,
they respect it. So I think the biggest challenge is they don't give us enough lead time to even make it at all possible. And some of them, pretty much I can turn them around, but certain neighborhoods I just be like, you're going to have to definitely give me these good 5 days, because I'm going to have to go massage my council members, the community, and they always want to know who it is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do they know who's coming?
Oh, yeah.
They know?
Yeah, because, see, we have to do a notification process. And whenever you take a lane, street, sidewalk, you have to notify in a 3-block radius. Even when you're on private property, we also ask that you give the common courtesy to notify. A lot of them will be straight up and, put in their notification letter what it is. For whatever reason, the music videos always list their artists. I don't know if that's good or bad sometimes. But just being upfront with them and being transparent of what's going to take place. Mm-hmm. We have to stay on them because they want to do all their videos at night.
Of course.
We have a noise variance that they have to abide by.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whoever's working for them, like I said, we have to send out our liaison to make sure that those rules are abided by.
So what are some of the other jobs in the film industry people can work if you want to just get started in the film business? I think what you're doing is kind of its own thing. I wouldn't have thought, how did you even get into this role? What was it for you to get into the film side of things? Yeah,
so our former mayor, Kasim Reed, saw a need for a film office to take place because after the incentive went in, they knew that it would probably rapidly grow. Mm-hmm. Not as fast as we all thought, but it did happen. And so he wanted to be able to create a one-stop shop for productions to come in instead of trying to figure out the language and how to do things. And so we became that, I guess you would say, concierge service to the productions to allow them to come film in the city.
Gotcha.
So our permitting process used to be with the Department of Public Works. So that means that they saw the permits for filming and for construction and fiber optic and everything. And so it was easier just to kind of branch off and give the film community a one-stop shop. And I do believe the film community did sit down with the former mayor at that time and, just let them know what the needs were, and he delivered.
That's what's up.
And so not only do we do permitting, we had a great marketing department, and I'm going to shout you out, L'Oreal Broussard,
yes.
Who basically put us on the map, just started getting our name out there and hosting events and just bringing the film community together. We didn't have a outlet or a platform for, makeup artists or independent writers or producers or, we didn't have that hangout outlet like we had in the music industry.
Right.
So she was phenomenal behind that. And just, branding us to be the Atlanta Mayor's Office of Film and Entertainment. So now it's a staff of 8 of us now. And so, we're branching more of entertainment, whether you're going to go into sports or music, just to embrace some different aspects of entertainment. The filming is already set.
Right.
And, we can hold our own, but just to be able to kind of cater to the other genres of entertainment.
Definitely. And I know we have the Super Bowl coming up, so I saw a lot of entertainment or ways for people in entertainment or small businesses, women of color, to be involved with that.
Yes, the Super Bowl is coming. It's going to be a big deal.
I know.
And I think it will be a great exposure for Atlanta, especially for, like you said, small businesses, Black-owned businesses, local artists that probably haven't had a platform. I know we are working with the airport to do a little music setup, pop-ups.
Oh, nice.
Throughout the airport for people coming in. So
I
we're
love
excited.
the direction of the airport right now.
Yes.
It's so many little, like it's basically a museum. You feel like you're walking through the culture of Atlanta.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's what I love about the city. And I'm sure that's why so many people come here. This is home for me. So to see all the changes coming back from college and, just to see the entertainment, not just music, grow is awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely awesome. So what would you say some things someone would know or would need to know before they try to work for the city or like in politics maybe?
Yeah, you touched that, right? So they should need to know that it is government. We have a lot of rules, policies, and procedures. It's not the most glamorous job of it, but it's a job that's very well in demand and needs to be done. I have a lot of people calling all the time, and they always say, I want to work in your office. And I was like, well, you know what our office does? Well, it's film and entertainment, but what do we do? When I go and talk about the whole permitting thing, then it doesn't sound as fun for them. But, to be able to... one of the things that I would like to see that we had a program in place a while ago with our office and AWDA, which was the Atlanta Workforce Development Agency, was to bring back that program where we allowed City of Atlanta residents, whether you were underemployed or unemployed, to go through this 17-week paid internship. You came on the sets to work. You started low, but below the line, I think you probably started out as a PA, but just to get in there and build those networks and those relationships, I think, would help bring more economic development to our city.
Definitely.
Because we do so much filming here, and there's no reason why that a lot of our locals shouldn't be behind scenes working, on the productions. And, I think we had three AWDA classes that we were successful with.
That's awesome.
And so hopefully it'll come back or something like that. Some bright idea might come up with IdOFILM Atlanta or something like that.
Right.
It's coming.
I think that's a great idea, and it's important to feed back into our own community because that was my concern, and I was going to ask you this too. With so many production companies coming from LA, because it is, there are so many incentives with being here. I wouldn't say it takes away from the community. It definitely adds to the community. But for those who are locally, have, grown up in these communities and to see those changes, that I'm sure they want to be involved somehow. And also just not to change what's already here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, a lot of them come from all over because they probably didn't think, them people coming from LA and New York, they grew up in the business, and rather here, even though filming has been here in 30-something years, the proper training, and I think that program, and we also have a program, I think it's with the Georgia,
Film?
Georgia Film Academy. Georgia Film Academy, they are, have a pretty extensive curriculum to get in, but I would like to see for that one to, involve more of our HBCUs all over the state of Georgia. And so sometimes we just have to, find our own outlet and help them.
Absolutely.
But I think that the more and more training coming here and, your local location managers here are phenomenal. And so they didn't have the biggest role on Black Panther, but that their assistant location manager was from here.
Definitely.
So they knew to go out and pick up their folks and bring them in. But I just think with the proper training and just having the productions also on board on allowing, new incomers to come in, I think would be, a step in the right direction.
I think that's awesome, and I'm happy to hear that, you're thinking that way as well, and those of you that are working directly in this business are thinking those things, so that's awesome. I want to say the positive effect that the city has seen from our newest Mayor, Keisha Allen.
Yes.
How is it working with her, and do you feel the city has a lot more, women in these big positions than ever before? I wouldn't say big positions, but in these positions than ever before.
Yeah. These prominent positions.
Prominent. That's a great word.
Kudos to her for being our 60th mayor. She is our second African-American mayor for the city of Atlanta. I think she's going to do phenomenal. she surprised us and came out and opened up our town hall, which was, very good to see that support from her. We keep that dialogue open, what's going on with our office. So far, she's liked everything. I'm quite sure once she's finished fine-tuning her whole administration that she will, be more transparent with us and, give her inputs in and everything. But it's definitely good to see her, sitting up there at the mayoral position. I think she's going to bring a lot, to the city,
Definitely.
Make it better or add her own little touch to it. We have a few candidates running for governor. Regardless, it's a female.
Yeah.
I'm going to claim it.
Yes.
But I just think that, seeing her in that role gives our kids, our minority kids, a dream to dream.
Absolutely.
And, she's really, she loves the kids. And she loves that APS school system.
Yes, that's
and
right.
I think that that's where you probably have to start at, is in our APS school systems to rear these kids to be developed to be our next mayor or our next governor or our next lieutenant governor. So it's a great feeling to say that my boss is a female boss.
Yes, it's dope. It's dope to see a lot. And just in general, just to see a lot of women kind of transitioning into certain positions and things that we weren't even privy to begin, or didn't even think. Yeah, it just seemed impossible.
Yes.
What are some things someone would need to know getting into the film industry behind the scenes? Like, how do you even, one, know that these positions and stuff like that exist? Do you suggest obviously mentors and things like that, but do you suggest, is there a place you can educate yourself or research these things besides Google?
Yeah, so we have a lot of great outlets for filming. WIFTA, Women in Film and Television, Atlanta. We have our Bronze Lens Festival is for us, by us. We also have Black Women in Film. So we have a lot of different platforms that I would just suggest that people just kind of attend, become members.
Yeah.
I don't really think you have to actually be in the film industry to become members, but it's definitely a way to get in, to get started, to get your networking up.
For sure.
We're getting ready to launch, in my office, we're getting ready to launch a new website. I can't say the name just yet on it, but it's going to be more of a website blog, informative. And, just starting back up our panels and just kind of coming back and curating the community.
Right.
In order to be able to get in. Film festivals. We have Atlanta Film Festival here. We have the Jewish Film Festival here. We have Bronze Lens Film Festival coming. You have the SCAD festivals for, ATV. And then, music-wise, we have a lot of festivals.
Yeah.
So it's all about the networking, and being able to, get yourself out there. And, I don't know where I heard this from or what event I was at, and this was years ago, said that, you should never leave without at least five business cards. I mean, you at least talked, and that could have said, oh, I need you to meet so-and-so. So the networking is really big when you coming into any field.
Absolutely.
But especially here because it's so wide open. Yeah.
And so speaking of platforms and other platforms that you're actually spearheading, the IdOFILM here.
Right.
IdOFILM Atlanta, here at Patchwerk. It's a podcast, right?
Yes.
That you're starting. Tell us more about that and what gave you the idea. What was the
Well, God gave me the idea.
Okay.
I can't even take the credit for it, and it's overwhelming for me right now because, the vision that he showed me, I was like, who's gonna do this? I don't even have all of this.
Right.
And so just being able to work in this field, for the last 5 years, I was just trying to say, what's missing? What are we lacking? And so then that's where the birth came in with IdOFILM Atlanta. And it's a community engagement platform that will be able to keep the community engaged in what's going on with our filming, different projects, how to get involved, doing panels with, I've been talking to a few people, and we're hoping to launch a panel the third week in June. And, I have head makeup artists and wardrobe stylists that's going to be on it. But what I did was I challenged them. I said, we go to panels all the time and we hear your story and how you got in. I'm going to take it a step further. You're going to sit on my panels. You got to go get you two to mentor and bring them in. And then they will be able to reciprocate and do the same thing.
Right.
And so I think we're lacking right now our creators to come together. We had it at one time, and then it kind of went away. So I was like, what better way to curate and bring that back than to do IdOFILM Atlanta and be, where the name alone says, you belong.
Right.
So that has been, a big part of me, and just wanting to be fair to the communities and get film liaisons set up in each community so that it's easier to come in and film. When my productions come in and do big productions, filming, I want them to be able to say, I filmed here. This was a community who was deemed as an IdOFILM Atlanta neighborhood. And so once the screenings come out, and come back to this neighborhood, come get them. Give them tickets or come do the showing.
Right.
I mean, just really kind of get involved because it's not going anywhere.
Right.
But we have to be fair. And so the same while you're, blocking streets and everything to our communities, you're going to come back and say, you know what, we appreciate it. Nothing is in vain. We thank you. And we want to be able to do A, B, and C.
Definitely.
We did Avengers. We shut down 14th Street 2 days in the middle of the week, which was huge. And it took a lot of prep into that. But, we gave them some ideas in order to engage the community. We had popcorn stands out there. And I didn't get not one call.
That's what's up.
Not one call.
That's what's up.
Because we just didn't shut it down and say, you guys go A, B, and C. Not only did we, shut down the street, but we also, involve the neighborhood, the community, the businesses, and just kind of let them be a part of that, so.
Definitely. That's awesome, and I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody listening appreciates that. I would ask you, what qualities do you feel like you should have just in general to be successful in both music and film, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes? So what qualities do you need to be in such a competitive industry?
First of all, I think you should be open-minded and transparent. The music industry and the film industry is two totally different industries for me.
That's true.
And even though, money is being spent the same way, music-wise, hey, got a session night, it's the studio, starts at 8, 10, 12. That's when it usually would start. Rather, filming, that meeting's at 9. 8:30, they're there, So I think just making sure that in anyone, being prompt, don't make promises you can't deliver. Always, so much material out there to read up on both entities, to always stay abreast of what's going on. Just being a people person, because working on both, you're going to work with different personalities, and you got to be able to, have that mild mannerism to work with any and everybody, from the head to the bottom, and just staying consistent in what it is that you want to do.
And what makes you the right person for the job?
Oh my gosh.
People hate talking about themselves, but it's okay. It's about you.
I always be amazed at the positions I get put in. And so I never underestimate myself. But the positions that I'm put in is because I built relationship with other people who thought of me when these positions came available. And so I think that what has made me be the best is because when I know I go to work, I work for the man up above, period. I don't, like Chris Hicks, he is my direct boss. Mayor Bottoms is my head boss. But if I know that every day I come in here to come to work, I go to work and do the best, then I know that it's been an opportunity for me. And I give 100% because God gave me this, and he gave me me. It's only one me, and I'm not perfect, and I have my flaws or whatever, but I always try to give what I would want back in return. Absolutely. And so whatever you give out to the universe, that's what it's going to give back to you. And so the way these doors has been open for me lately, I've just been pinching myself, and I'm just going to take this ride. Yeah. And so I think I'm the best because I've worked in both genres. I met a lot of people. I don't let anything go to my head. And I know that I'm replaceable. So in order for me not to get replaced, then I stay abreast on what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always keep a step in front of the last step.
Definitely, definitely.
And so now, just learning how to brand myself is what I'm working on right now.
Now we're working on branding, Dilla. Yes, I love it. So what would you say to that graduate that just, just left graduation season, just graduated from their college or university, and they majored in production, and they really want to get their hands or their feet inside of the music industry, or excuse me, I'm talking about music, the film industry here in Atlanta, what would you suggest to that person?
Well, first of all, I would have them probably to get them a little notebook and write down all the different production studios we have here. Send out your resumes, be persistent with it, talk with us in our film office, be at all the different events that's put on for film, because you never know that one break that you can get in. I can just use something, for example, it was Usher's New Look, and we partnered up with them, and we did a shadow day. And we were so amazed, and I'm going to throw back L'Oreal because, she spearheaded it, and we were so amazed how when we asked other departments in the city, would they, allow kids to come and shadow them, and we had a phenomenal turnout. Well, just so happened, Denise Ann, if you're listening, she shadowed us in our office. I had to do a scout that day in City Hall on the Mitchell Street side, and it was for, at that time, the Anita Hill story, Confirmation, which starred Carrie Washington. Yes.
Really?
Carrie Washington. And so I told her, I said, hey, I'm finna do this meeting. You want to come with me? And she said yes. And so she was there. She was quiet. She listened to us kind of talk what they wanted to do. I must have turned around to talk to somebody else. But when I came back, the director was a female, and she was just talking to them, and how do you, da-da-da-da-da. And they were so impressed with her. And she was a 9th grader.
Oh, wow.
And they were so impressed with her that, they said, you want a job? And she was like, yeah, for the summer. And so by the time I might have got back to my office, and a few hours later, they sent me an email, said, Cardellia, please send us her resume.
Wow.
Sent her resume. She worked as a PA on Confirmation. We got a chance to see her in action because they filmed at the city. And
that is amazing.
That just changed her life.
That's amazing.
So it's just like, you never know who you're going to meet. When the opportunity presents itself, always take it and, just be persistent. And so, like I said, we have so many productions coming here and so many production studios that are already here, is that you just, you
never know.
You never know.
Where do you see the industry in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Oh, my goodness. Hopefully we can turn Peachtree into a Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Right.
But an Atlanta Walk of Fame,
right.
With stars for our local talent here, which would be great. We're not going anywhere. We're only going to get bigger. And so, I'm excited to see what happens.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I think that you pretty much touched or covered all the bases here.
Yes.
So with the podcast, though, let me ask you, when can they expect to see or hear some things with the IdOFILM Atlanta?
So, we're hoping to drop that podcast within the next few weeks. We have a few personalities lined up. I'm going to challenge and call out a few more, to come join the podcast. But I think it would be really great and informative, and, I'm excited.
And I didn't really ask you, what's your relationship to Patchwerk? I know you,
oh my goodness,
you worked during the days. You probably have plenty of stories you didn't tell me yet.
Yeah,
okay.
So I have a few connections here with Patchwerk, but I think my first encounter with Patchwerk was meeting Curtis in 1997. And I think Patchwerk was
up the street.
Mm-hmm. And I was just getting into the arena with productions and producings and stuff. And at this time, my Hitco office was out of LaFace. Okay. And so we didn't have a place to go and record. And so I had a few of my producers at the time say, can you find us a studio, where we want to, record at. And so I guess the only studio I want to be biased was Patchwerk. I had just met Curtis, so down to earth. Then we found out that we was rivals growing up. I grew up in Gardena. He grew up in Carson. He would say Banny's the best, but it's Gardena. And the way he ran business, I couldn't work with nobody else. He didn't play. Whatever we needed, he gave it. If there was an outstanding invoice a day late, we knew about it. And the professionalism and our friendship just kind of grew. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, almost 30 years later, and we're still strong. I admire him a lot, and I love the way he conducts his business. He's a good family man, and we have become really good friends. And so, he's had the opportunity to have some filming here, and so when people are saying, we looking for a studio or something like that, where can we film? I'm always...
Relationships.
Yeah, it's about the relationships and knowing that, if a production trusts me to help find a location, then I know that I can just say, hey, call over here. And I'm hands off because I know that the staff here and with his leadership, him and Mike, that is going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. Last thing, because you mentioned family, Curtis being a family man, you mentioned your child.
Yes.
How has it been for you, like balancing family with the sort of, I guess now working in this position may be a little different than Hitco days, but just working in entertainment in general and having to balance family.
Well, I think Hitco Day was the hardest days for me because at the time my kid was young. And so I never wanted to neglect her, and I didn't. And that's why I said, I worked, but then when I went home, I was full-time mom. But I'm proud to say that I'm an empty nester.
Yeah.
My daughter's 28.
Hey.
Yeah, she lives in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I'm going to give her a shout-out, Brittany Anderson, and she works for Kat Von D.
Oh, nice.
And so now it's allowed me to, I stayed a mom until we got through college.
Right.
And so once college came over and she had her wings, that's when the friendship came in. So it's crazy now because I was always her cheerleader. And now she is totally like my cheerleader. I mean, like unbelievable. Definitely. And I just, like I said, whatever you give out, you're going to get back in. So the music industry was a little challenging because it was 11 to 7. But I had a good support group. And so, it opened a lot of doors for her to see different things that she probably wouldn't even been subject to. So now it's just me and the hubby at home, and he's really supportive. He's a little more hands-on with me now, which is good. Yeah. And we're just gonna enjoy this ride. Phase 2 is what I call this marriage.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Pretty much what we talked about this entire podcast is like you being behind the scenes.
Yes.
And now with the IdOFILM and, doing things like this, or panels and just putting yourself out there, like you said, branding yourself. Mm-hmm. You've always wanted to be behind the scenes. You said that even on this podcast. What pushed you to do that, or who pushed you to really come to the forefront and represent a large group of people?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm already all the way sold on being in front. That's why I got L'Oreal over here. But just building my confidence of knowing my job and what my worth is, has really kind of pushed me to go out into the forefront. At the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about being able to make an impact that can't be erased. And so there's a lot of things I would like to do or that would be in front of the camera. Like documentaries and stuff like that. But I figured this will be a good start because it's still engaging the community. Mm-hmm. It always goes back to the community. When you have support of your community in what you do, then it makes other things much easier for you. Mm-hmm. But my determination and my work ethic is just so high right now because, it's so much to do here in Atlanta and it's so much to educate people on. So the podcast just... I've listened to plenty of podcasts or whatever, and I was like, oh, this just be so dope to do one. IdOFILM Atlanta and because we have so much talent here. And so this is good for me, this first one right here, because I was so nervous coming in here. And I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. But so I was like, L'Oreal, come on over because, you
just want that support.
I needed that support. And, I think that... she'll be a good partner with me on this. And so I just think being in front of the camera is okay. Curtis has been my cheerleader forever, and he's been trying to pull me from behind the desk for a long, long time. And so the support and the carpet he has rolled out for me, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it's just been
amazing.
unbelievable.
I think that when you have the right motive,
yes,
then it makes it a little bit easier.
Correct.
So when you're really doing it for that reason, you'll be fine.
Yeah, thank you.
And you did a great job. Phenomenal
I appreciate
job.
it.
I'm excited for the community at IdOFILM Atlanta and for what you're doing with the city of Atlanta.
Thank you.
The mayor office, of film and entertainment. I'm excited for all that we have and what you're bringing to my city.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And tell them where they can find you because we are about, branding ourselves, right?
So you can follow me on Instagram at IdOFILM ATL. That's the best way to find me right now. My website is in
the works.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm learning how to brand. So
we're going to get it together. Don't you worry.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Dilla, for joining us. You can follow us at IDM Podcast on Instagram, as well as myself, Sammy Approved, on all social media platforms. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Has been great.
I appreciate it.
All right. Sonic.